It's now time to start our football dream team. 22 members this year. This year we did not discern offense and defense. We just took the top 22 vote getters and compiled them all in there, and I think we came out with a pretty good list. Our first presenter led his team to a district championship, shared the conference title, and had the 10-win season this year, which I believe was the first 10-win season ever for Park Hills Central. Please welcome Coach Corey Schweiss.
First off, I'd like to thank KTJJ for everything that they do to support high school sports, from having the end zone shows after the football games, which I know we all enjoy. I know the football coaches all listen to that and see how everybody else did during the evening. To the round table that they host on Tuesday evenings now at Buffalo Wild Wings, which is always a treat to be able to attend that. And then putting on this Dream Team ceremony. Those are just great examples of how they showcase the athletes in our communities. And for this, I know these four young men up here with me, we thank you for it. First, I'm going to start by talking about our team success. These four gentlemen up here, Blake, Cody, Reed, and Derek, they were part of a lot of success that our team has had over the past 3 seasons. We were able to win 10 games, as Glenn mentioned. First time we were able to do that in our school's history. That was a tremendous feat. We had probably the toughest schedule we've ever put together in order to accomplish that feat. Our 3 losses came to Sullivan, who was 12-1 and lost their last football game to Webb City in 4A. We lost to St. Jen. They were 10-2. And one of those losses was to us, and the other one was to Maplewood. And then we also lost to St. Jen lost to Maplewood. Yeah. We lost to John Burroughs. And, John Burroughs was a pretty good football team as well. I think a lot of people knew about them. So the 3 losses we had, the teams were combined 35-3 or 35-4, I guess, after their playoff losses. The 3 losses we had were pretty respectable losses. On behalf of our team, I would like to introduce our 4 Dream Teamers. I will start with Blake Nephew, right here. Blake is the son of Jeff and Kim Bland of Park Hills. Blake has never gotten anything but A's in high school and is ranked near the top of his class. He has an awesome ACT score. He has been recognized as Academic All-State for 3 consecutive years. He is a member of this year's basketball team, and he's also the student body president. These characteristics helped Blake be a leader on our football team for the past 3 years, and he's going to be a tough one to replace. As far as Blake's accomplishments on the offensive side of the ball, his teams have rushed for over 11,000 yards in the past 3 seasons. He has led the team in pancake blocks. We refer to this at Central, as putting them on the bus. There's a guy playing, I think it's left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens right now, and there was a book out about him a few years back, and we really got the saying from that book. But he does a tremendous job of blocking, whether it's pulling to kick out, pulling to lead, getting to a linebacker, or just man blocking the guy across from him. Blake is great at all of it. Offensive linemen get overlooked a lot, but at Central we understand that these are the guys that have led to our success over the past few seasons, and we have had none better than Blake. Defensively, he was the leader on our defensive front. He was one of only a handful of guys that played both ways, and he never seemed to tire. We usually put Blake wherever we needed to put him to create mismatches or to take away the other team's best plays. He played defensive end, defensive tackle, and nose tackle on the defensive line. He ended the season with 68 tackles, 14 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks, and 5 forced fumbles. As a sophomore, Blake was second-team All-Region player on the offensive line. As a junior, Blake was a first-team All-Conference and All-Region player on the offensive line. And this season, Blake was voted first team on the offensive and defensive lines, both in the All-Conference and All-Region meetings. Blake was voted as co-lineman of the year in both the conference and the region. Blake was also first team offensive line for the All-State team that the media chose. He was also voted second team on the offensive line All-State by the Coaches Association. He finished his senior year by obviously being a member of the Dream Team. Mr. Blake Nephew. Next to Blake here, I have Cody Harrison. Cody is the son of Tony and Deborah Harrison of Park Hills. Cody is also a 3-year starter. Like Blake, he also does very well in the classroom, making nearly all A's. His abilities in the classroom also help Cody be a tremendous leader on the field. He is the captain of our defense and made checks based on alignments, splits, and personnel. He called coverages and sometimes changed coverages even after motion had started for the offense. We asked a lot of him, and he never disappointed. On offense, he was a key player to our success. Although he was one of our best runners, he was also one of our best blockers. Because of this, Cody played a lot of fullback, which I know Cody hadn't played previous to this year, but he did because he knew it would be best for our football team. He started playing more and more offense as the year went on. Beginning of the season, we didn't really play him a whole lot on offense because the last couple seasons he was having some injury issues, and he was so valuable to our defensive secondary that we started the season not playing him much on offense, but our offense really was hurt because of that. So as we went on in the year, he started playing more and more offense, and because of that, we started having more offensive success. His abilities on the offensive side of the ball really made our offense go, so it was hard to keep him out when games started being important. Statistically, on defense, Cody ended the year with 93 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and 5 interceptions. On offense, he ended with 72 carries for 527 yards and 6 touchdowns, but really led the way with his ability to block. As a junior, Cody was on the first team, all-conference team, and the all-region teams as a defensive back. As a senior, Cody was on the first team, all-conference, and all-region teams as a defensive back and a fullback and running back. Cody was also a second-team coach's all-state player as a defensive back. Obviously, he was also a member of the Dream Team, Mr. Cody Harrison. Okay, next, all the way at the far end is Derek Mitchell. Derek is the son of Randy and Lana Mitchell of Park Hills. Derek also excels in the classroom, making nearly all A's. Derek is also a key player on our baseball team. His abilities on the diamond will probably land him back on this stage in the spring. Derek ended up being a two-way player for us this year. We played him at defensive end to help our depth on the defensive line. Derek had some defensive highlights for us as the year went on. He ended the season with 26 tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, 2.5 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery, which was a touchdown. On offense, he was our power running back. And if anybody's ever got to watch us play, that's pretty much what we do. We're a power-style football team, and he was kind of the key component to our power running game. He was the main reason that we were able to have some of the most memorable drives ever, including a 26-play, 87-yard, 14.5-minute drive to start the game against Maplewood. We wanted ball control in that game, and Derek was a perfect back for that style. Because we were able to do that, and then a combination of how good our defense was, we were able to shut out a pretty explosive team in Maplewood. In 2 seasons at Central, Derek has become a pretty decorated football player. Derek ended the season with over 1,000 yards rushing, becoming only the 3rd player in school history to accomplish that feat twice. He scored more touchdowns in one season last year, 22, than any other player, and with his 13 touchdowns from this season, his 35 total touchdowns ranks 2nd all-time at Central for a career in scoring touchdowns. He was tied for 1st last season in scoring with 134 points in a single season, and this season scored 88 more points and now ranks 2nd in his career in scoring with 222 total points. He ranked 2nd in single season rushing last year with his 1,400 yards, and with his 1,000 yards this season, his 2,406 rushing yards ranks him 3rd in his career rushing at Central High School. And again, he did this in just 2 seasons. Derek was first team all-conference and all-region both last year and this year, and he is also a 2-time member of the Dream Team, Mr. Derek Mitchell. And our final member of the Dream Team is our lone junior, Reed Lucas. He's 3rd from my left here. Reed is the son of Louis Lucas and Susie Oakes, both of Park Hills. Reed is a member of the basketball team and also excels in baseball and could be up here in the spring. Reed is one of the most entertaining players I've ever had the pleasure to watch. He makes plays on the field that you wouldn't think are possible. He literally seems like he's everywhere. I know there was several times this year, and it was just baffled you, and then you'd watch the film, and it would still just amaze you. He does a little bit of everything. When you combine his instinctive ability, his ability to go 110% to the whistle, and his 4.5 speed, you get a junior football player that has already been named to the All-State team twice with another year ahead of him. As a sophomore last season, Reed was named first team on the All-Conference and All-Region teams, and Reed was the Conference and Region Defensive Player of the Year. He was also the Media All-State second team and a member of the Dream Team. Not to be outdone, this season, he was again named to the first team on the All-Conference and All-Region teams, and again was named Conference and Region Defensive MVP. This season, he managed to be selected to the Media All-State first team, and then when the Coaches Association picked their football team, he was also first team All-State in the Coaches Association. As you can see from these awards, he is a tremendous defensive player. However, Reed is a good football player, period. He, like Cody, helped our offense because of their ability to run, catch, and block. Reed finished the season with only 27 carries, but he had 121 yards and a touchdown, but he was also fourth on our team in receptions and receiving yards. He did this not playing very much offense at all. We sparingly used him on offense because of his value to our team on the defensive side of the ball, where he again broke our school record with 165 tackles. He had broke that record last year when he had 162 tackles as a sophomore. He also had a record 35 tackles for a loss, 5.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. Like I said, he broke last year's school record of 162 tackles, which he had last year. I have a feeling that we'll see him up here again next year, barring any injuries. Mr. Reed Lucas.
Couple of things on two of those guys. Blake Nephew, I saw him outside of the Park Hills Central Christmas Tournament, last week, 2 weeks ago, and pulling up, they always reserve a spot for us at J-98 for J-98 for a first-class parking spot so we can walk right in. And there's a cone that says KTJJ on it, so I just pulled up, and rather than get out and move it, I just kind of pulled all the way up to the cone and tapped it a little bit and kind of bent it over, and I got out and looked at it, and I thought, that's fine, and walked in. Came back out a little bit later on, not thinking much about it, and Blake Nephew's standing there. And Blake's just looking at the cone and then looking at me, and he goes, "Didn't want to move the cone, huh?" He was like, "You just wanted to run straight over it? Is that what it was?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't run over it. I just tapped it a little bit." But I thought that was pretty funny. And then Reed Lucas, I saw him hit his first home run last year, and I overheard him telling his buddies after the game, he goes, "I hit my first home run, and J-98 was here to call it, man. That's awesome." So glad we could be a part of that, Reed. Moving on next is Farmington Knights head coach Todd Vaughn, his 7th year coaching, only 1 losing record for Farmington. Please welcome Coach Vaughn to the podium.
First of all, I'd like to do what most of the other coaches have done. Thank J-98 for their coverage. Just like Coach Weiss said, we're football junkies, and after the game, first thing we do is go sit in the office and eat and listen to the radio show after the game, and also enjoy your show that you do during the week. That's a lot of fun to go to. Our athlete for this year, also I'd like to congratulate all the athletes. I think it's amazing when you sit here and listen to what they've accomplished, and they all have the same characteristics, and I think that's something that everybody could learn from. Our athlete this year is Ryder Garrett. He was inside linebacker, offensive lineman, and receiver for us. He's accompanied here tonight with his parents, Hud and Tanya Garrett, and his brother, Roper. Ryder's been an all-conference, all-district football player for us multiple times in multiple years. He is a team player, always willing to put what's best for his team ahead of his individual goals or his individual wants. He moved from wide receiver to offensive line for us this year after, I think it was week 3 or 4. Never once complained, jumped in and did what was best for our team. Has a great work ethic, has a great attitude, a lot of fun to be around. Athletically speaking and on the field, he has a great vision and great instincts. I think it's in the blood, in the Garrett blood. He enjoys the physical aspect of the game, a very physical football player. He has been a very, very important part of our football program for the past 4 years. He was a strong contributor last year to our semifinal team. He's from a great family. They have done an excellent job raising their children. Ryder's an outstanding individual, and no doubt in my mind that he will be successful in life no matter what he does. He is going to play football at the next level, not sure where yet. As a coach, I can tell you that we always enjoy coaching kids who love the sport as much as we do. And I can tell you that Ryder Garrett loves football and has a passion for it. So I present to you Ryder Garrett.
Our next presenter, unable to attend today. It was Festus coach Russ Schmidt. He was 2007 Coach of the Year, but he sent Assistant Coach Jim Sardo to speak in his place. So please welcome Coach Sardo to the stage.
First of all, I'd like to thank J-98, KREI, KJFF for all the coverage and exposure they give high school athletics in Southeast Missouri. Brandon was an impact player who anchored the middle of the defense, which was statistically the best in the conference. And he also was a starting offensive guard. The reason for Brandon's success is his work habits. Brandon never missed a day in the weight room, 100% attendance. He was always at practice, giving great effort and bringing a great attitude. Here are some of the numbers that Brandon created in the weight room. He had a 350-pound bench press, a 425-pound squat, a 29-inch vertical jump, and a 5'2" 40. Brandon was also voted by his teammates team captain. 2011 statistics, he had 26 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 20 assists, 1 fumble recovery. 2011 athletic honors, he was a first-team all-conference defensive line, Mississippi Area Red Conference, first-team Southeast Missouri All-Region team defensive tackle. And 2012, statistically, he had 16 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 10 assists, 1 fumble recovery, 1 forced fumble, 2 QB sacks. And that's all from all you football coaches know out there, to have an odd defense, you have to have a great nose tackle, and he was. In 2012, his athletic honors was the first-team all-conference defensive line, second-team all-district defensive line, first-team Southeast Missouri all-regional team defensive tackle, first-team all-conference offensive guard. Brandon Barton.
Next up is a first-year coach with the Fox Warriors. Please welcome Brent Tinker.
Well, thanks everybody for giving us the opportunity to be here. I'm going to start kind of like the rest of the coaches have also. I don't want to miss an opportunity to say thank you and congratulations. You know, you don't always get the opportunity to do this. You know, I think in our area too, sometimes our kids are maybe a little under-noticed, definitely maybe some under-recruited. But thank you guys for what you did. It's pretty nice, and this is an awesome opportunity, and you guys are great people. And just to go ahead and throw my little extra thing in there is, you've been leaders at your schools. Don't stop. You got a long life to go to continue leading in the community. So thank you guys for what you do. The night is about you. We really appreciate the good choices you made, and sure hope you can keep doing it, because we're going to keep being neighbors for a long time. And again, thank you guys for giving this to these guys, because they're great kids. Now on to my great kid here. You know, we're in a lot of schools coming here under a lot of different situations, and I have some notes, and I'll try the best I can to stick to them. But I want to thank everybody, especially the coaches, for giving us an opportunity for voting for Tyler. You know, we don't get to play against you guys a lot. We don't really get to see you guys. I know some of you guys, but I don't know all the coaches in the area. I almost tripped over one of Judd's Coach of the Year awards on the way up here. You know, a lot of you guys have done a great job, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. I'm very happy for you guys just to be with you. Tyler is the son of Diane Critchlow and Kirby Brewer. Great folks, very supportive. You know, it's always important to have the supportive parents, and I've got a good group of parents. Just don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you to you guys. Tyler is a 3-year starter for us. For 3 years in a row, he has been an All-Suburban West football player. He's got honors on both sides of the ball. This year, he ended up getting second-team All-Conference wide receiver, which kind of goes more with the doesn't speak to his talent. It speaks to the amount of times that we throw the ball. Tyler's as good as there is. We got second-team wide receiver, unanimous choice first-team defensive back, and actually he's a heck of a kick returner. He led the conference in punt return, so we got a second-team all-conference kick return also. A variety of all-district awards, first team on both sides of the ball. He even actually made it all the way to the all-state team this year for Class 5. We could not be more proud of him. I'm going to go ahead and keep on going on some of the decorated honors the guy's gotten. This summer, he was selected by the St. Louis Rams to play for the play for the NFL high school player development. Got to go up to Indianapolis. You were there. You got to go up there and play in the 7-on-7 team. Did great, represented our area, represented the region very well, got some touchdowns, and got to play against some of the best kids in the country. It was a great opportunity for him, and we're very proud of him. On to the person. Tyler's a 3.3, probably a little above a 3.3 grade point average. He's going to have the opportunity to play college sports. The good thing about Tyler, which is probably very true about most of you guys back here, is he kind of bucked the trend of I'm going to play one sport and then I'm going to just kind of isolate and just do that. Tyler plays basketball also. I hope he gets – I'm pretty sure he's going to get a lot of honors for basketball too because he's a great player and he has been played varsity for 4 years, right? 4 years for varsity there. Also runs track. He's had a pretty decorated career there. Good young man. I know I'm kind of getting a little long-winded, and I know it's been a long day, so I'll go ahead and cut it out. But thank you guys for the opportunity for Tyler. Thank you guys for including us, and congratulations to everybody. Thank you.
You know, Fox High School is a bit on the outskirts of our listening area. I mean, we come in fine up there, but they're right on the edge. And I always like to see it when a team right there on the edge of our listening area gets in to the Dream Team. They get a player into the Dream Team because it shows two things. One, the player has to be really good, and the other is our coaches who vote. They don't just play favorites. They're not voting for teams in their own conference only. They see the bigger picture. They know who's good, and they make the right decisions. So a lot of that goes to the coaches, and then Tyler Brewer as well, a heck of a player, along with all the other Dream Teamers that we've ever had that are kind of on the outskirts that don't necessarily play all the main teams in our area. So a lot to be said for Coach Tinker and Tyler Brewer making the Dream Team. Next up, we have a coach who has won two previous sportsmanship awards, or his team actually has. Please welcome Shannon Henson from Fredericktown.
Thanks to you guys, and congrats to you guys. I'll kind of shorten that up there, but it is quite an honor to be up here. It's quite an honor to be up here in front of all these great athletes. These three young men I'm going to talk about, three members of our football team. They were all team captains this year. They were three of a group of 16 guys that are very special to me. It's funny, a lot of people come up and they say one of two things. They either say, well, you guys had a good football season or you guys had a disappointing football season. And it's kind of hard to measure it. We were 6-5, 5 losses, 4 of those losses to state-ranked teams. You could probably come up with 5 individual plays that if they'd have gone another way, we finished with a record of 7-5 or maybe even a record of 12-1. We had a really good football team. 2 of those losses to Park Hills, 1 of those losses to Park Hills in overtime and won by 1 point. And when you build a relationship with a group of seniors like this that have been through it all and really as a group did not have a whole lot of success at younger levels, they just refused to just be mediocre and worked hard and tried to make something out of their senior year, and we fell short in a lot of games. And a lot of those games, you don't know when it's going to end. And it's kind of, a lot of times the end of the season's coming, and you know how you're going to part ways with them. I didn't have the opportunity to do that. It was one of those things where our season ended very quickly, and it was a tearful moment. And I told those guys that I wasn't ready to part with them. I wasn't done with them yet, and I know that they're going to have a big impact on my life the rest of my life, though, and these are great young men. They're great people. 3 out of a group of 16 that'll probably be one of the most special groups I've ever been around. First of all, Jeremy's here, Jake's in the middle, and the good-looking one down there in the end's Justin. So, Jeremy Grimminger here to my left. He's a member of, he's the son of Steve and Kathy Burrows. He's a member of the basketball, baseball, Beta Club, Student Council, and Pep Club. Again, another 3-sport athlete. He was second team all-conference at quarterback, very good conference lineup at quarterbacks. He was named first team all-region in both the Coaches Association and media, and he was named to the all-state team, third team by the Coaches Association. This year, rushing the football, he's a dual-threat quarterback for us, 197 rushes for 1,103 yards and 20 touchdowns. He threw for 1,550 yards and 21 touchdowns. That's 2,653 total yards of offense and 41 touchdowns. Some of the things that he's done is over a 2-year career. And all 3 of these young men definitely put a dent in the record book at Fredericktown High School. His 126 points in the season, 7th all-time, 2,368 yards career rushing, 6th all-time, 20 touchdowns in the season's 4th all-time, 218 career points is 4th all-time. His 35 career touchdowns is 3rd all-time. His 1,550 yards in passing in the season's 1st all-time. 2,653 total yards of offense in the season is 1st all-time. He also holds the 2nd place record that he set last year on that. 2,603 career yards passing is 1st all-time. 31 career touchdown passes is 1st all-time. And this young man has 4,997 career all-purpose yards, 3 yards short of 5,000, which is quite an accomplishment. You know, he's a quarterback, and I was a quarterback coach, and sometimes I call him sweetheart, and I think he probably didn't know why. It was because I spent more time than him than I would with my wife during football season, so I got a little confused sometimes. But he's a warrior. He was kind of surprised. You know, we just wanted a guy a couple years ago with a pulse to turn around and hand the ball off like we've always done, and had kind of a breakout game and did a lot of things that we didn't know he was going to be capable of doing. It was definitely a pleasant surprise for us. One of the things that I really appreciated for him, he led our scout team, and there'd be times when we start the offensive side of practice with him in a bad mood because the scout team maybe didn't do what he wanted them to do. He's extremely competitive, a fierce competitor. One of those guys that, you know, going into changing offenses and going from a power offense to a spread offense in the middle of the season, he was quite a contributor in that, you know, and we had lots of conversations. Even these 3 amigos I got up here, they all contributed to that because they're extremely intelligent football players, very conscientious of what they did, and they are warriors on the football field. Jeremy Grimminger. Second guy here is Jake Karokas. He's the son of Ross and Kelly Karokas. He's a member of basketball and baseball teams, another 3-sport athlete, Beta Club, Student Council, Christians in Action, Fellowship of Christian Action, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Leadership, and PSI. Jake was a first-team all-conference as both a linebacker and wide receiver. He had 92 tackles this year, 22 of those for a loss, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 3 fumbles. He had 23 receptions for 606 yards and caught 12 touchdown passes. So over half of the passes he caught were for touchdowns. So Jeremy, you didn't throw it to him enough, obviously. But that 12 touchdowns was a 55-year-old record at our high school. His 37 career receptions is 7th all-time. 824 career receiving yards is 5th all-time. 17 career touchdown receptions is 2nd all-time. His 606 yards in a season's 3rd all-time. His 26.3 average per catch is 1st all-time. Like I said, he owns the single-season touchdown record. Defensively, 276 career tackles is 2nd all-time, and his 31 career tackles for loss is 1st all-time. Jake is a 3-sport athlete. Like I said, he's a 4-year varsity start. He started several games as a freshman. I wish, you know, you could kind of show highlights of these guys. The hardest hit I've ever seen in high school football, ever. And it was at a contact camp at Farmington. And he hit a kid from Sullivan, and the kid's helmet came off just from the inertia. And he's known as a hard hitter, a hard worker, dedicated football player, dedicated athlete, and a great young man. Jake Crocus. Last, we have Justin Sawyer. Justin's the son of Randy and Paula Sawyer, and I want to mention his family. Paula has been the president of our parent group for several years. His older brother, Ryan, who was also a Dream Team member, former All-State football player, she was the parent group president for 4 years when he was in high school. So I think she took a year off, and she's done it the last 4 years and just did a tremendous job for her, and she's going to be missed, and I appreciate everything she's done. I remember actually having the speech when Ryan was up here as a Dream Team member, mentioning that I was glad he had a younger brother, and here we are kind of come full circle, and he's up here on stage. And the other coaches I play, there aren't any more, so you don't have to worry about that. This is the end of the line. Justin is ranked 7th in his class with a 4.0 GPA. He is a member of the basketball team, Beta Club, Student Council, Christian in Actions, FCA, and PSI. Justin was a unanimous choice first-team all-conference wide receiver and first-team defensive back and first-team special teams player. He was also named the offensive MVP of our conference and of our SEMO Coaches Association All-Region team, and he was named his second team to the Alt-State team in the Coaches Association. He had 71 catches for 708 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 two-point catches. He also had 22 rushes for 90 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 50 tackles, 4 interceptions, 3 fumbles. He was 3 for 140 yards in defensive returns and 2 touchdowns. He was also named for the second year in a row to the Academic All-State team. His 5th career interceptions is 4th all-time. 13 career touchdown receptions is 3rd. 71 receptions in a season is 1st all-time. He had 708 receiving yards, which is 1st. 103 career receptions, which is 1st. And 1,077 career receiving yards, which is 1st all-time. His play was phenomenal. He's 5'6", 135 pounds, and a lot of teams would double team him, and he'd still go up and make catches that you'd normally see, a guy 6'2" make. Some of the guys after the game would, the first thing out of the coach's mouth was, "My gosh, that Sawyer kid is unbelievable." And I would look at him and say, "I know it." Sometimes I couldn't believe it either. He was never afraid to make mistakes, and he would make mistakes, but it never slowed him down. And his play and the way that he approached the game was contagious to the other people around him. All 3 of these guys are just great young men. I'm going to miss them, and they definitely made a mark on our football program. Justin Sawyer. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Our next presenter in this first year after taking over for legendary coach Stan Helms at Herculaneum, he led the team to a conference title this year. Please welcome David Cook of the Herculaneum Black Cats.
Well, thank you. I'd like to also thank the radio station for all their hard work. It's great the coverage that all of these athletes get throughout the season. And around our area throughout the school year. This year, we had several players returning on our team that had significant playing experience over the last few seasons, but it was difficult to see the season end. This group of young men overcame multiple obstacles this summer, ranging from our practice field being resurfaced, the gym and weight room was closed down because they put a new roof on. Some of them experienced significant changes in their families, and some of them even had loss of family members over the course of just that few months in the summer. But this group of young men overcame those obstacles with grit, determination, and mental toughness that exemplifies what we all hope that our athletes will learn through sports. As Glenn said, we had a good season. We finished with a record of 7-3. After dropping the first 2 games, we went on a 7-game winning streak, won a conference title for the first time since 2004. Season came to an abrupt end in Week 10 against Lutheran North. Of course, as any football coach would tell you, there's only one way for a season to end that doesn't feel bad. And in our sport, there's only 2 teams a year per class that get the opportunity to achieve that. In our first 2 games, we struggled to find a rhythm. By week 3, we started figuring things out. Our offensive coordinator, Coach Jordan, made a few changes, and defensively, we moved a few guys around. And several guys began to rise to the top with their level of play. The first young man I'd like to talk about is all the way over to the left. Dustin Johnson was one of those players that came into his own and stepped up his game. Dustin is the son of Stuart Orr and Donna Johnson, who are here with us today. He is a 2-year starter for us at the running back position. He started as a sophomore. As a sophomore, he ran for over 1,000 yards, even though he missed a few games that season. He is a two-sport athlete. He excels in football and track. And this season in football was a breakout year for Dustin. He set several school records. He set a new record for the longest rushing touchdown, which was a 95-yard score. He is the single-season rushing leader with 2,271 yards on 312 carries with a 7.28 yards per carry average. He set a school record for rushing touchdowns with 35 total TDs, and he set a record for total points scored. He ended the season with 2,400 all-purpose yards, including return yards and return yards and special teams yardage. He had 35 touchdowns and 6 two-point conversions. Dustin has received several postseason honors. He was a unanimous first-team all-conference selection as a running back. He was named the co-conference MVP, offensive MVP, along with Valley Catholic's Tyler Fallert. Dustin was named the Southeast Missouri Coaches Association All-Region Team as a first-team running back. He was an All-District player. He was an All-Metro player for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and he has been named to the Dream Team. We're looking forward to see what great things Dustin can do this spring on the track, as well as next season in football. He is just a junior, Dustin Johnson. Another one of our players who grew this season was Brian Duncan. Brian is the son of Jennifer Alley. Brian's grandfather's here with us today. Brian is also a two-sport athlete. He excels in football and wrestling, and as I understand, is ranked at the top of our class in wrestling for his weight class right now. He's first in the state. Don't let me forget that. Brian's one of those guys who won't let you forget anything about him. If you do, he'll be sure to remind you. Brian is a 2-year starter for us on the offense and defensive linemen, and most coaches will tell you offensive linemen don't get a lot of props. It's hard to talk about stats with an offensive lineman because there's not a lot of stats you can keep for him aside from sacks allowed or pancake blocks and things like that. But he's a 2-year starter as an offensive and a defensive lineman. As such, on the offensive side of the ball, Brian has been a part of an offensive backfields the past 2 seasons, accounting for well over 3,000 yards in rushing. Brian was a force on the defensive side of the ball this year, playing an interior defensive line position. We moved him from an outside spot to an inside spot this year, which generally is not well received by a guy that plays defensive end. But Brian came in and took on that nose guard position quite well. He had 50 solo tackles, 15 assists, 8 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, for a total of 74 tackles. He had a fumble caused, a fumble recovered, and a safety. Brian only left the field on punts. He was in on all other special teams, and he even kicked off for us from time to time. When he wasn't kicking off, he was on the kickoff team. He was oddly enough, our safety, who actually ran down and covered so our kicker could be the safety. He played every play with everything he had. He played the game the way it's meant to be played. All of those things are impressive, but what's more impressive to me about Brian, even more so than his level of play, is how much he grew as a young man and as a leader this year. Brian was our team leader. Late in the summer, our coaching staff was talking about how our practices were successful or unsuccessful based on Brian's level of effort and Brian's focus. Coach McCaws and I, our offensive line coach, sat down with Brian and had a conversation with him about his role as our team leader. He took that role squarely on his shoulders after that conversation, and about week 3, Brian began to bring this team together. Brian bought into our program philosophy, and he united our team. It was amazing transformation to watch as Brian grew as a young man and as a team leader. Brian was a unanimous selection as a first-team all-conference offensive and defensive lineman. He was also named the conference defensive MVP, which generally doesn't go to a defensive lineman. Brian was a first-team selection for the Southeast Missouri Coaches Association All-Region Team as an offensive and a defensive lineman. And the SEMO area coaches selected Brian as the Class II Lineman of the Year. Brian was named to the 3rd team All-State defensive lineman by the Missouri Football Coaches Association, and he is also an All-District player and has been named to the Dream Team. This is Brian Duncan.
Next presenter unable to attend today, Hillsborough Hawks coach Brian Robbins. Hillsborough had a football banquet of their own going on today. It conflicted, so they were unable to attend. So I will be speaking on behalf of Coach Robbins and all three of his dream team athletes. Let me tell you a little bit about the Hillsborough Hawks, though. They put together a great season. They made it all the way to the quarterfinal round of the state football playoffs this year before losing to St. Mary's. They had a 10-win campaign this year. Andrew Reed was one of their dream teamers, and he is a linebacker, a senior. He had a season-ending injury week 7, and he missed the last 6 games, but still the coaches put him on the dream team due to the caliber of player that he is. He's a first-team all-conference, all-district, all-region linebacker. He was the 2012 Defensive Player of the Year in their conference, in the MAFC. 41 solo tackles, 22 assists, 5 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, and 1 interception. Plus, he's stellar in the classroom with a 4.0 GPA. He's ranked 2nd out of 261 students at Hillsborough High School. Please give a big round of applause for Andrew Reed. Their second of 3 Dream Teamers at Hillsborough this year on the football team was Jared Shepard, a beast at defensive tackle, also a senior this year. 59 solo tackles for Jared, 30 assists, 8 tackles for a loss. He's a 2-time first-team all-conference and district winner, all-state in 2011, 2011 Dream Teamer as well, also 3rd in the state in wrestling in 2012. And then this year he was an offensive lineman and defensive lineman selection for All-State. Pretty good GPA of 3.0 as well. Jared Shepard, defensive tackle for Hillsborough. And the third for the Hawks is running back Nick Baumgardner, also a senior. 179 carries this year, almost 1,400 yards, 7.7 yards per carry with 20 touchdowns. He was first-team unanimous all-conference. Also caught the ball 6 times for 103 yards, 17 yards per catch. Missed 2 games due to an injury. Still made the dream team. Give it up for Nick Baumgardner of the Hillsborough Hawks. Our next presenter is here today. He turned the North County Raiders around after 7 straight losing seasons. In his 4th year, he won a share of the conference title and had a winning record of 7-4. He was also Player of the Year twice back in '98 and '99 if you look at your programs. Jeremy McDowell from North County.
I just want to also take this opportunity to thank J-98 and all the hard work you guys put in and all the athletes. What an awesome accomplishment. You guys will remember this forever. So. This gentleman standing to the left of me here, Mr. Wyatt Compton, he is the son of Bill and Kathy Compton, comes from a great family, great parents, and a great young man. He's a member of our leadership council, which represents our football team. A few stats, he had over 1,600 yards passing with 16 touchdowns, rushing. He had just under 1,000 yards rushing with 15 touchdowns, so 31 total touchdowns. Obviously, a big part of our football team, our main leader. He played both sides of the ball. Defensively, he had over 40 tackles, a sack, and 3 interceptions. He was a member of our all-conference team on offense and defensive side of the ball, all-district, both sides of the ball, and all-region, both sides of the ball. Wyatt was a unanimous conference Offensive Player of the Year, and he was unanimous conference MVP. A special football player and a special young man. As a freshman, Wyatt kind of just got thrown into the fire. We were a struggling football program, and he took over the quarterback position, and he did a lot for us, and he kind of got put in he had a raw deal, basically. But as a freshman, and as a sophomore, he was no doubt our leader, and he was our greatest competitor. And, as a freshman, you can't really say that too much. And he was really about the only player that I could really trust. And he means a lot to me. And, as a junior now, he is no doubt our leader and a guy that everyone looks to. And, something about Wyatt, if anyone asks me about Wyatt, I say that he's just a tough football player. That's how I describe him. He's the toughest kid that I've ever been around on the football field. He's just taking licks after licks and keeps getting back up, and then we go ask him to play defense, and he didn't come off the field. He actually played more than half the season this year with a broken hand on his throwing hand, and not many people knew really about that. And he never complained. He just taped it up really and still threw and led our team to the our first 7-win season in a long time. We tied for first in our conference, and that was a long time coming. And he is North County football. And what's awesome is that I'm really excited that he's going to be back next year. So I'm extremely proud and happy to introduce Wyatt Compton.
How lucky is Wyatt? He's got a brother that's probably going to be playing in the NFL to teach him how to play the linebacker spot, and then his coach is a former player of the year who can teach him how to play the quarterback spot. So he's not in too bad of a spot. Our next presenter is Potosi Trojans coach Mark Casey.
I'm here to present to you today Dusty Weidman. Dusty Weidman is a running back and linebacker for us. Been one of the best players we've had in a long time. He's been really good for us. Dusty's the son of Kurt and Lisa Weidman. In 2012, he was our team captain. He's been a 3-year starter for us, and he was selected by his teammates and coaching staff as a team MVP this year. Has great work ethic and is just a great team leader overall, and we're truly going to miss him come next season. Some of Dusty's stats. In 2012, his offensive stats, he had 184 carries for 1,061 yards and 10 touchdowns. Over his career, over the past couple years as a running back, he's had 1,939 yards and 22 touchdowns. Dusty was just as good on defense, though. He started as a sophomore on defense. This past season, he had 89 tackles, 66 were for solos, 1 interception, 2 sacks. And in his career, he had 227 tackles, which 153 were solos, 4 interceptions, 4 sacks, and 4 fumble recoveries. Some of his awards that he has received: as a sophomore in 2010, he was second-team all-conference linebacker and second-team all-district linebacker. As a junior, he was first-team all-conference running back, honorable mention all-conference linebacker, second-team all-region running back. And then this past season, Dusty, for his senior year, he was first-team all-conference running back and linebacker. He was a second-team CMO Coaches Association running back and linebacker for the region. He was a first-team all-region media linebacker. He was a second-team all-media region running back and a first-team Missouri Coaches Association all-region running back and linebacker. Dusty Weidman.
Our next presenter is my favorite person to interview. All you got to do is ask him one question. He'll take it from there. He's a 4-time Coach of the Year. He shared the conference title this year. Another 10-win season, which was the 6th time in 12 years for St. Genevieve. Bob Stolzer of the Dragons.
Okay, again, congratulations to all the young men and ladies behind me here. It's a very prestigious honor to be selected to the Dream Team. And also, Glenn and Ryan, thank you guys for what you do. Toward the end of the season, I had the opportunity to sit in at a roundtable discussion, and I was very impressed with the preparation work you guys do for that. These guys just don't get in front of a microphone and yap about this, that, or whatever. They do an awful lot of preparation work, and like I said, you guys, very impressive and great job that you guys do. Okay, it's my pleasure to have 2 of our football players selected this year's Dream Team. First off, I'd like to introduce Kyle Nicholson. He's the shorter one to my far left. Kyle's the son of Dave and Donna Nicholson. Kyle's another one of our players who have also had the pleasure of coaching his dad. That's just a reflection of my experience, so to speak, instead of my age. Kyle's work habits are certainly inherited from his dad, as his dad, too, was a very hard-working young man when he played for me. Kyle's is a success story that I will use and relate to our players of the future. Last year, Kyle was a good player for us, but not a great player. He started only 1 game as a junior and lacked several of the skills that an offensive lineman needs. Like I said, he was a good but not great player. He's always been a hard worker and continued his work habits through the off season, and this past season really bloomed into a great offensive lineman. Kyle didn't necessarily go from rags to riches, but really should serve it as an example that hard work definitely pays off. Kyle could pretty well do it all as an offensive lineman, no matter what the play was, nor whether it was a pass or a run. He was smart and able to figure out things a lot of times on his own instead of needing to be told what he was doing wrong or right. His play and hard work earned him the following honors this past season. He was a first-team all-conference offensive lineman. He was a co-offensive lineman of the year in our conference. He was a first-teamer all-region for both the Media and SEMO Coaches Association. He was an all-state media second-teamer. He was a Missouri Football Coaches Association all-state third-teamer. He was a first-team Missouri Football Coaches Association all-district, and of course has made the KTJG or J-98 Dream Team. I'll remember Kyle's being one of the best offensive linemen I've ever had the pleasure to coach, along with one of those players who worked himself into being a great player. Kyle's plans for the future is to attend Purdue University next fall and major in engineering, and he's still considering the possibility of walking on as a football player. Had a discussion with him this morning about that after watching Purdue playing one of the bowl games, and I think Kyle has shared with me, looking at their roster, their smallest lineman was, 6'2", 285, something like that. So if we can stretch Kyle a few inches, maybe he'll have an opportunity to do that. Next player is the taller of the two gentlemen standing here to my left is Dan Tarana. Dan's the son of Tony and Cheryl Tarana. Dan's one of the players who I'll probably miss the most off this year's squad, not only because of his play, but he started for us ever since he's been a freshman. Dan's another one of those very coachable young that we have at St. Genevieve. It's been enjoyable watching him improve yearly and have such a great senior season. Dan wasn't just a big player who occupied a lot of real estate, but took care of that real estate on the field and was always in someone else's territory as well. Dan has quite a list of allocates the last several years, which are the following. He was selected to the all-region team as an honorable mention player as a freshman. After his sophomore season, he was voted to the second-team all-conference, along with the first-team media and coaches association all-region team. His junior year, he was named to the first-team all-conference, first-team media and coaches all-region, as well as being named to the third-team all-state. His senior year this past season, he was also first-team all-conference player, media and SEMO coaches all-region team. He was also voted as a Conference Defensive Lineman of the Year and the SEMO Coaches Association Co-Lineman of the Year. He was also first team Missouri Football Coaches All-District and was also All-State second team, and like I said, also has made the J-98 Dream Team. I was playing around with some stats or some of my records the other day, and I thought rather than list Dan's season totals, I'll list his 4-year totals. Dan had a total of 182 solo tackles as a defensive lineman. I know Coach Schweiss was talking about some of his players having in the high 100s as far as their tackles, but for a lineman, that's awful lot of tackles. He also had 58 assists. 49 of his tackles were behind the line tackles or tackles for loss. He also scarfed up 5 fumbles and had 4 passes swatted down. Certainly a heck of a career, an indication how much we'll miss Big Dan. He's also a very productive and very good heavyweight wrestler. Right now he's got a season record of 21-1, and that one loss that he's had so far this season was only by 1 point, and he assured me today that he wrestles the same guy Wednesday, and he's going to make up for that. Dan's being heavily recruited by a number of colleges, and right now is leaning towards attending Valparaiso University, where he intends on majoring in international business. Dan Tarana.
All right, our next presenter is the reigning Coach of the Year 3 years running now, and if he doesn't trip on his awards on the way over, like Coach Tinker said, he's had his team in the state title game each of the past 4 years, winning 2 of those titles. Valley Coach Judd Nagger.
All righty. The good news is that I am the last to speak, and the bad news for you is that I do have to speak. So I, too, would like to start out by thanking all the coaches who help these three fine young men to be voted onto this football team this evening. To J-98, thanks for all you do. You follow us all over the state, all throughout the playoffs, and help a lot of fans back home to be able to hear us play. I am extremely fortunate to have three guys up here this evening. The first of which is number 35, Trevor Klump, who's down on the far end. He is the son of Dave and Shirley Klump. I have known him all of my life. His older brothers were actually in my class way back in 1996. So I've known him for a long time. As you can tell by his height, watching him grow up physically has been at times a little boring. However, watching him grow up as a human being has really been a lot of fun. All jokes aside, he's had an amazing career for us. He was the only returning two-way starter on our team this past season. He was the lone returning starter from our offense in 2011. For his career, he finished with 70 receptions for over 1,300 yards and was able to score 16 times. For all that he was able to get done for us on the offensive side of the ball, his true meaning for us was on the defensive side of the ball. He was All-State the last two seasons as a defensive back, and despite his size, no one really made it a point to go after him because I think they had a lot of respect for him as a football player, and he was able to do just a tremendous job for us. All three of these guys have a lot in common. These three guys were the hardest working kids that we had on our football team in the off season, and that hard work has helped to lead them up here this evening. I think the best example of what he meant to us as a football player was one day, week 3 or 4, it was extremely hot, and we weren't doing so hot. And, the staff decided that we needed to leave him alone, just for a little bit because our eyes were starting to bleed or something. But so we came back out after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and he was leading them. He was being the coach. He was running them through drills, running them through practice at the same pace that we would have wanted them to do. So it's been a joy to coach you, Trevor, and we're gonna miss you big time. Our second member is right here to the left of me, number 75, Trey McClure. He is the son of Teresa McClure and Rich McClure. Trey is the hardest worker that I have been around in my 12 years at Valley. His combined total for bench, squat, clean, and deadlift is nearing 1,500 pounds. At one time during the playoffs, we flat out had to tell him, you need to stop lifting, you need to stop running, because the games were coming way too quick, and he didn't have time to recover. So, he is the rare high school athlete that can say that he did everything he possibly could at every single opportunity that he had to be the best he could be. Never, ever missed a workout, never went half speed, never ever took a play off. He was always moving high gear. The last two seasons, Trey combined for 201 tackles, 30 of those for a loss, and 8 sacks. This is a lot for somebody that plays, defensive line, but he just never quit on any single play. He was always trying to get something done. He was first team All-State this year. Media, first team All-State. Coaches, he was named the defensive MVP by the Class 1 coaches in the area. between these two guys, they were able to dress for 60 games the last 4 years, and they were able to finish with a record of 52-8. So these guys have been involved in a whole lot of football games. On the offensive side of the ball, Trey was one of 5 guys who started for us up front, and we actually had 0 guys back from the season before, and he helped to lead us to 5,000 yards on the ground and nearly 7,000 total yards, which is number 2 all-time ever in the state of Missouri. He will be missed. His work ethic will become the standard at Valley High School. Everybody else is going to say, if you want to be one of the best, you're going to have to work as hard as Mr. Trey McClure did. So, number 75, Trey McClure. Our third and final member is junior, number 17, Tyler Follert. He is the son of Mary Jane and the late Alan Follert. Tyler has had a dream season. His accolades are numerous and well-deserved. He is always on the internet trying to understand the best way to become a little faster, the best way to become a little stronger. He's always gone above and beyond everything that we've ever asked of him to do. He is self-motivated and has a very clear vision of what he would like to get done on the field. His off-season helped to enable him to go from 1 carry for 25 yards as a sophomore to 296 carries and 3,030 yards as a junior, well over 10 yards per carry. Obviously, I was not very smart last year that he only had 1 carry, but he rushed for 1,500 yards alone in the last 5 games of the season, at a time when everybody knew he was going to get the football. In the district championship game, he rushed for 484 yards, which is 3rd all-time in a game and 1st all-time ever in the state of Missouri in a playoff game. His 262 yards at state left him 5 yards short of being 1st all-time ever there. Again, probably should have got him 1 or 2 more carries. His 3,030 yards this year actually placed him number 4th all-time in the state of Missouri. He did all this from a shotgun spread offense when everybody knew he was going to be getting the ball. Defensively, the last 2 years, he has 280 tackles, including 130 this past year, 2 pick sixes, one of which was 98 yards, the last play of the half against there, that really helped to turn the ball game around. He was the co-JCAA Offensive Player of the Year, Regional Offensive MVP, First Team Unanimous Coaches Running Back, First Team Media All-State Running Back, 2012 Class 1 Offensive Player of the Year. He was, just a junior this year, and I have no doubt that he will continue to work hard. However, for him to meet and exceed what he's done this year, he's going to have to be a tremendous leader in the off season. He's going to have to make us a better football team every single day now. Thank you to these 3 guys, and we're going to miss 2 of you, and extremely glad to have 1 of you back. So thank you.
All right, with that, it's time to announce our player and coach of the year for high school football. We won't let you wait any longer. Our player of the year, the record-breaking running back from Valley Catholic High School, Tyler Follert. Our coach of the year this year broke the streak of 3 straight won by Coach Judd Nagger. It's actually his buddy from Park Hill Central, Corey Schweiss, coach of the year.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. I will say this about Judd. Out of the last 3 years, this is probably the best job he's done. I remember 4 years ago, the talk was, of course, I kind of stay up to date with what Valley's doing. But the talk was Valley only had 4 kids in the freshman class, or 5 kids, whatever it was, and they won't be able to keep it up. But that just kind of goes and shows you what kind of a coach Judd is. He does a really good job there. So I want to say you're my coach of the year, bud. Also, there's a lot of good coaches, football coaches in the area. Our conference is loaded with them, I know. Got to know a few more going up to the state convention. So I will accept this award, but I will say it's because we had really good players. My defensive coach, Coach Jones over there. Coach Jones, can you stand, please? I know he won't want to, but I'll have to. We got him 4 or 5 years ago, and he really helped turn our program around. And, we couldn't do it without him. The rest of our coaching staff, the parents of these guys, they do a great job. And I'd just like to thank everybody. Thank you, guys.
Let's hear it one more time for the football dream team.